I wanted to start, Steve, with a post. It's not that recent, but it was one that caught my eye, and I think it had quite a bit of traction all over the internet. And that was the one about why VCs should be startup CEOs. As a venture capitalist who has come into that world from an operator, that's especially interesting one for me. And the one area I wanted you to focus on, if you don't mind, is the fact that you highlighted the CEO. How far down the food chain at a company do you think it's relevant for a venture capitalist?
Well, let me first start with, the post wasn't meant to be dogmatic. Obviously, great VCs can come from anywhere, and they do. And so the comment wasn't meant to diss the venture capital industry. It was just an observation of what I've seen about young VCs in particular,
Hmm.
and the length of time it takes them to actually understand what it is they're doing and who it is they're doing with. And so most of them pick it up fairly quickly, 5 or 10 years, but some of them spend their whole careers not quite understanding
Right.
what business they're in and think of it as a financial asset class rather than something I think that's pretty unique. Um, Chuck Easley, a professor who teaches at Stanford with me, actually did an analysis, and his numbers, which I thought were kind of interesting, at least as he shared them, that said that VCs who have been CEOs, their firms tend to have higher returns. Um, he comes from the quantitative side, I come from the qualitative side.
Hmm.
But specifically to answer your question, having been in my 8 startups, I was CEO and founder in once, meaning the buck stopped with me unequivocally.
Hmm.
In all the other companies, I was co-founder or spear carrier or something else.
Right.
But I have to tell you, the role of a CEO is so different than the role of an operating exec. They're not even on the same planet.
Hmm.
I had been a VP of marketing a couple times in a startup and thought I was part of the management team and blah, blah, blah. Boy, until you're the CEO, having the board yelling at you in the
Right.
one ear and you're running out of money in another and the engineering VP just quit and what, you don't have a clue about what it's like running a company until the buck all stops with you.
Hmm.
So I wanted to distinguish running a company from the other jobs in a startup. The question really comes back down to is, well, Steve, is any of that relevant in delivering a great IRR to limited partners? I
Right.
want to make an argument that says, well, that's a component, but that's not really all that these do. And I would absolutely agree with it. To
Hmm.
answer your question that says, well, how will I get any value being an operating exec? Of course. Would I get any value being a VP of sales and VP of marketing? Of course.
Right.
At the end, what I proposed is if I had to come up with the academic's perfect view of how to build great venture capitalist, it was, hire people in to be an analyst out of engineering or MBA school, let them at least understand how to analyze deals, throw them out, and make them be product managers or something in a startup to get a feel of a company. If they're still interested in venture, have them come back as an associate, and then have them shadow deals and shadow board meetings and shadow whatever. And then my radical suggestion was throw them out again and let them found a company, or at least be a co-founder of a company, and see what that's like for a year.
Hmm.
Now, none of that guarantees a successful VC with great pattern recognition skills or great other great skills, but it certainly would give them a career path that understands both the venture side and the startup side. You
Hmm.
know, venture is still a craft industry, at least from looking on the outside. And so I've not seen any canonical model, so I proposed one from an entrepreneur's point of view. This is a long way of saying, you know, there's my opinion, take it as you see fit.
Right, right. No, it was a
And
great blog post, and those that provoke thought are obviously the best ones. You have to be sometimes a little controversial to sometimes to get through the clutter, and that was a good one. So my approach, and I agree with you. There's not one approach to making venture capital work, but for me, I ended up connecting with Jim Andelman. He's the founder of Rincon Venture Partners, classic venture capitalist, where he went to Wharton, he went to Dartmouth, he did consulting, he did investment banking, and I found as an entrepreneur and as an operator, it's been invaluable to me. I think before I connected with Jim, I would have thought I could do it. Oh, sure, I could be a VC. I've taken VC money before, but having that combination of someone who really understands the VC world and combining it with someone who kind of understands the operating world, it's worked really well for us.
that's great.